My name is Gwendolyn. Standing in the middle of the crowded stadium, wearing my heavy black graduation gown, I was on the verge of receiving my PhD. But my hands were shaking for a reason far from the excitement of this academic milestone. Just moments ago, I'd checked my phone, hoping for a simple "well done" or "we're proud of you" from my parents. Instead, I saw a text from my father. It read, "Don't expect any help. You're on your own from now on." I felt as if I'd been punched in the gut. After all these years of pouring my heart and soul into my studies and my work, he still wanted to make me feel insignificant. He wanted me to be desperate and dependent. I looked up at the stands and saw him sitting there, arms crossed, looking utterly bored. He thought he was teaching me a lesson about money. Little did he know what was about to unfold. Then, my phone buzzed again. It was a call from Leo, my chief financial officer. I probably shouldn't have answered right before walking onto the stage, but I did. "Gwendolyn," he yelled, his voice trembling with excitement. It happened. The market just opened, and the IPO hit $6 billion. "You're officially a billionaire." I froze. My father thought he was cutting off a struggling student, but he had no idea he was looking at the owner of a $6 billion tech empire. And the whole world was about to find out. Let me take you back to where it all began. I grew up in a small town in Texas. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were very traditional. My father worked at a local bank, and my mother was a schoolteacher. They were all about fitting in and following the norm. As a child, I was different. While other kids were playing with dolls or sports, I was always asking questions, trying to understand how things worked. When I was 8 years old, my mother bought me a set of building blocks. She expected me to build simple houses or towers. But I had other ideas. I spent hours creating complex structures, with detailed mechanisms and hidden compartments. When my mother saw what I'd done, she was confused. "Gwendolyn, why can't you just build something normal?" she said. "This is too complicated." As I got older, the gap between us widened. In high school, I became obsessed with astronomy. I spent my weekends at the local observatory, learning about the stars and planets. My parents didn't understand my passion. They wanted me to focus on more practical subjects like business or law. One summer, I participated in a science fair. I built a model of a solar system that could simulate the orbits of the planets. I was so excited about it. But my parents were skeptical. "Gwendolyn, this is just a waste of time," my father said. "You should be thinking about your future, not playing with these toys." At the science fair, my project won first place. I was overjoyed. But when I told my parents, they didn't seem impressed. "It's just a small local fair," my mother said. "Don't get too excited." Despite their lack of support, I didn't give up. I applied to the best universities in the country, secretly. I knew they wouldn't approve, so I forged their signatures on the application forms. When I got accepted into a top-tier university with a full scholarship, I finally told them. My father laughed. "A university? You? Gwendolyn, you're not cut out for this. You'll just end up dropping out and coming back home." But I was determined. I packed my bags and left for college. The university was a whole new world for me. I was surrounded by people who shared my passion for science. But I also faced financial difficulties. My parents kept their word and didn't send me a single cent. I lived in a tiny dorm room, ate instant noodles, and walked everywhere because I couldn't afford a car. But I was focused on my studies. I discovered a flaw in the way satellite data was transmitted. I knew that if I could fix it, it could revolutionize the space industry. I started working on a new algorithm, which I named the Thompson algorithm. One day, at a coffee shop, I met Leo. He was a business major, loud and confident. He spilled his coffee on my laptop, and we started talking. When I showed him my work on the algorithm, he was amazed. "Gwendolyn, this is a goldmine," he said. "We need to turn this into a company." We became partners. Leo took care of the business side, dealing with investors and legal paperwork, while I focused on the technology. We worked in secret, meeting in basements and late-night diners. By my third year of the PhD program, we secured our first angel investor, who wrote us a check for $500,000. It was more money than my parents had ever seen. My first instinct was to call them and tell them about my success. But then I remembered their words of doubt and criticism. I knew they wouldn't understand, so I kept it a secret. Meanwhile, I knew things were tough at home. My father's bank was facing financial problems, and my mother had health issues. I decided to help them, but I had to do it in a way that wouldn't hurt their pride. I used my share of the investor money to pay off their debts, fix their car, and even pay for my mother's medical bills. They never knew it was me. They continued to treat me like a failure. "Gwendolyn, when are you going to get a real job?" My mother would ask on the phone. "You're just wasting your time with all this science stuff." It hurt, but I kept my secret and my hope that one day they would see my worth. The day of my graduation was supposed to be a perfect day. It was also the day of our company's IPO. I woke up early, feeling nervous but excited. I put on my simple white dress and the heavy black doctoral gown. As I drove to the stadium, I saw my parents' car near the gate. My heart skipped a beat. When I walked up to them, my father looked at his watch. "You're late," he said. "We've been waiting for you." My mother brushed lint off my gown and frowned. "You look a mess, Gwendolyn. Can't you ever look presentable?" We walked towards the stadium, and the conversation was tense. I tried to tell them about the special commendation I was going to receive for my research. My father just grunted. "Does it come with money?" "If not, it's not worth anything." Before we separated at the gate, my father said, "After today, you're on your own. We can't support you anymore. You need to grow up and get a real job." I felt a lump in my throat, but I didn't say a word. I sat in the graduate holding area, waiting for the stock market to open. I was more nervous about my parents' reaction than the IPO. Then, I got that text from my father, the one that crushed my hopes. But then, Leo's call came. The IPO had been a huge success. I was a billionaire. As the news spread through the stadium, my parents came down the aisle, angry. My father thought I was causing a scene by being on my phone. "Put that phone away, Gwendolyn. Have some respect," he shouted. A student next to me stood up and showed my father his phone. "Sir, she just made $3 billion, he said. My father was stunned. Just then, a news crew rushed onto the field. A reporter thrust a microphone in my face. "Gwendolyn, how does it feel to be the youngest female billionaire in the state?" My father tried to put on a fake smile, ready to take credit. But I leaned into the microphone and said clearly, "They didn't help. I built this alone." In fact, my father just texted me to tell me I was on my own. The camera zoomed in on my father's face. His fake smile crumbled. He looked small and ashamed. After the chaos, we were taken to a VIP tent. My parents were in shock. My mother started crying. "We didn't know, Gwendolyn," she said. "Why didn't you tell us?" I told them the truth. "Because you would have laughed at me. You would have told me to give up and be normal." My father sat there, his head in his hands. "I was jealous," he said. "You were so smart, and I felt stupid. I tried to hold you back because I was afraid." I looked at them, and for the first time, I saw the vulnerability in their eyes. "You hurt me," I said. "But I accept your apology. But things are going to be different from now on." We had a dinner a few weeks later. I set some rules. No more comparisons. I would pay off their mortgage and set up a retirement fund, and they had to get to know the real me. It's been 6 months since then. I'm sitting in my new office in New York City, overlooking the skyline. I have a framed photo on my desk from my graduation day. It's a reminder of how far I've come, and that family can be complicated. To all of you out there who are like I was, don't let your family's doubts hold you back. Keep following your dreams, because one day, the results will speak for themselves. I'm Gwendolyn, a scientist, a billionaire, and finally, truly free. I turn back to my work, ready to face whatever the future holds.